Member for Port Moody-Burquitlam. Member for Port Moody-Burquitlam. Carry on. Proceed, please.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. That is a hard act to follow. I am thankful to rise in the House today to present my thoughts on the budget. A budget that presents a strong, responsible fiscal plan that puts people first while helping to ensure the long-term fiscal sustainability of our province. I'd like to begin by thanking the people that made it possible for me to be here today. The people of my constituency and the volunteers that dedicated countless hours of their time because they believed in me and believed in the vision that this party was sharing. Making life more affordable, improving the services that people count on, creating good jobs for people throughout BC. Thank you to those volunteers. All your hard work is what got us here. We will pass a budget that takes the first critical steps to fulfill our vision to build a better BC. And I'd like to acknowledge some of the projects that are already underway in my own riding of Port Moody-Burquitlam. I'm pleased that we're continuing to move forward with the commitment to expand the emergency room at Eagle Ridge Hospital, adding 20 ER treatment spaces. I'm also very pleased that we're going forward with a $5 million capital funding investment for the development of 55 new affordable housing units for people with low and moderate income in partnership with Andrews United Church in Port Moody. Seismic replacement funding as well for Banting Middle School in Coquitlam and Moody Middle School in Port Moody. Continuing to ensure our children's safety and investment in the future, which I'm sure will continue with future budgets. As the Parliamentary Secretary of Technology, I've been working with my colleague, the Minister for Jobs, Trade and Technology and Ministry staff, and meeting many key leaders in the tech sector. And one consistent message has come out of these meetings. BC has an incredible potential to grow many jobs in the tech sector. There are many great things I can talk about in this budget, but I'm going to start and focus my comments a little bit more on the opportunities that we have to grow this economy and how the tech sector can play an important role in that. But it's going to take focused effort to capitalize on this opportunity. We need to be well-informed, well-connected with industry, and willing to act quickly to leverage emerging opportunities in an industry that changes quickly. In this budget, in cooperation with the Greens, we'll be creating the role of an Innovation Commissioner. The Innovation Commissioner will be the tech sector's advocate in Ottawa and internationally. They will coordinate alignment with federal funding programs and level the playing field with other provinces. They will establish strong relationships with senior leaders in BC's tech sector, not only in industry, but also in universities and accelerators. We know that technology is a major driver for BC's economy, and there are many opportunities for innovation, even in existing industries. The Innovation Commissioner will play a key role in helping BC to become a preferred destination for new technologies. In this budget, we will also be creating the Emerging Economy Task Force to enable BC to stay on the leading edge of global economic development. This task force will bring together key individuals who understand the global environment and the rapidly evolving technological landscape. They'll provide a BC-centric perspective on these global changes and provide advice that is focused on the future. Advancements in technology are changing the way we do things at an accelerating rate, spawning new companies and creating innovation in ways we never imagined in existing industries, including forestry, mining, and other resource-based industries. To illustrate a point, I'll give an example of a conversation I had with an entrepreneur recently, talking about a company in Germany that began using blockchain technology to collect payments. Prior to that, it could take several weeks to process payments, and they had a very large reconciliation department. But by using blockchain, the payments were collected almost instantaneously. And this could have had the effect of putting that entire department out of work, but instead, what it did is it allowed the company to retrain those people and the skills that they had in other areas of the company and create efficiencies in the company that saved even more money. And that's the kind of thing that we need to do and promote here in BC. The use of blockchain is rapidly evolving. What does it mean for BC's tech sector and existing industries? The Emerging Economy Task Force can help answer that question. And one of the other concerns I've heard raised in the conversations I've had with the tech sector is the availability of talent. And this budget recognizes that growing the tech sector also requires investment in post-secondary education. This budget includes $2.6 billion in capital spending in the next 3 years in post-secondary institutions across the province. This will develop highly skilled workers that will spur innovation and help BC companies to compete and grow internationally. This budget continues to invest in ongoing innovative projects around the province, such as construction of a new sustainable energy and environmental engineering building at the Surrey campus at SFU for 515 students. This will create jobs, expand research, and foster innovation. Construction of a new industrial training and technology center at Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops for 550 additional students that will accommodate a range of new and existing trades, technology, and industrial programs that will prepare students for in-demand careers in the region. There's also redevelopment of the life sciences teaching laboratories at UBC to provide an upgraded learning environment for almost 2,200 existing students and 450 new students. An expansion of the ICS facilities in biomedical technologies, emergency design support, and global communication systems at UBC. These are just a few examples, and there are more to come in the future, I'm sure. In addition, this budget continues to support investments in $7.5 million towards a Prometheus project, a province-wide research and commercialization hub for material science and engineering innovation, almost $12 million for cyber infrastructure, Compute Canada, $5.7 million for genome approaches to personalizing cancer diagnosis treatment. There is a lot in here to help grow the tech sector and more to come. And there are many budget items that I could talk about that will assist not only those working in the tech sector, but people in every area of the province. This budget includes investments in childcare, investments in education, investments in healthcare, investments in affordable housing. But these investments are just the first step. And I'm so excited to be part of a team that is working for the people of this province and building opportunities for the tech sector. And believe me, there are many opportunities. I've heard a lot of negativity about the economy from this side of the House, but I'm looking at this from an extremely positive viewpoint. We have an amazing future ahead of us. We're already seeing BC's tech sector account for $24 billion in revenue, $14 billion in GDP, nearly 10,000 companies, over 150,000 employees. Vancouver is ranked #1 in Canada and #15 globally for startups. We have a highly skilled workforce, and more than 60% of our workforce has a post-secondary education. We have 36,000 new immigrants every year, and unlike our friendly neighbors to the south, we open our arms to the skilled people from all over the world. BC has this distinct advantage of being in the same time zone as important markets in Washington, Oregon, and California. Our business day also overlaps with Asia and Europe. We are the gateway to Asia, with more trade than any other province in Canada. 33% of our exports are to Asia compared to just 8% in Canada. And we have world-class universities and some of North America's leading research programs, including UBC's Data Science Institute, UVic's Institute for Data Science, SFU's Cybersecurity Center, UBC's Quantum Matter Institute. We also have the Center for Drug Research and Development, Genome BC, Triumph, and BCIT's Center for Energy System Applications. BC is credited with 9 Nobel Prize winners, and BC universities account for more than 25% of US patents derived from post-secondary research in Canada. Over 200 companies have been formed from the research that has been conducted in commercialization of that research at UBC. Over 75 companies from SFU. Notable US companies have already established themselves in BC, including Microsoft, Amazon, Intel, Boeing, Sony ImageWorks, Disney, and there is potential for so much more. The minister and I met with senior leadership at Microsoft in Seattle recently and discussed the potential of the Cascadia Innovation Corridor, a partnership with Seattle that could create the 5th biggest tech hub in the world through cross-border access to talent and access to capital and access to markets. Seattle and Vancouver combined represent a $22 billion startup ecosystem, and that's 3 times bigger than the Toronto-Waterloo corridor. Seattle is ranked #1 for its tech talent base, an area where we need to grow our talent base. And this is higher than any other tech center in North America. Seattle's also ranked 6th largest venture capital ecosystem in the world, attracting over $9 billion in venture capital funding over the last 10 years. Participating in this corridor will give Vancouver access to talent and capital like we've never seen before. But make no mistake, the potential we have here is not something that only Vancouver can capitalize on. There are several examples or several applications for federal funding for the supercluster initiative. $950 million the federal government is giving out over 5 years, starting this year, in support of a small number of business-led innovation superclusters that have the greatest potential to accelerate economic growth. This is something that the Innovation Commissioner will be helping with. These superclusters can spur incredible innovation in existing industries across the province and job growth throughout the province. To give you an example, Vancouver has a number of data visualization companies, and there's some on the island and in the interior as well. Video game companies, visual effects, mapping, augmented reality. These companies can help spur innovation in other industries such as health, tech, natural resources, smart cities, transportation, construction. Microsoft has created a HoloLens, and there's a company in Port Coquitlam that has taken this platform and helped innovate a company that builds trucks for shipping. And what they've done, instead of building clay models, which has been the norm, and running these models through wind tunnels and all of that, you can put on a HoloLens and go to the frame of a truck and view what the body of the truck will look like right in front of you. You can walk around it, and you can do the wind simulation as well. This innovation has saved millions of dollars for this company. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's possible in existing industries. Mining companies are using augmented reality to view 3D renderings of mine plans and resource models. Agri-food industries are using artificial intelligence to provide early-stage detection and prevention of crop stress. And there are many other examples in forestry, oil and gas, clean tech, and more. We're in a good place, and there are incredible opportunities ahead of us. The previous government may want to jump up and take credit for everything tech-related. But I can't count the number of times that I've been told in all the conversations that I've had with tech professionals, thank you. Thank you. We finally have a government that's willing to listen to us. A government that recognizes the amazing potential of the tech sector. The previous government decided to focus its efforts in other areas, such as LNG, and they tried really hard, but they didn't do a very good job. And when they realized that LNG was going nowhere, someone came and tapped them on the shoulder and said, hey, look, there's a tech sector, and it's growing. Let's take credit for that. Well, this government is taking a different approach. We have restructured our ministry to put jobs, trade, and technology together, recognizing that technology can be a major driver in job growth. With every tech job created, there's up to 5 other jobs created that support that job. This is how we create a diversified economy. This budget update takes critical first steps to build a better BC. We're going to be investing in people in this province and the services that have been neglected for 16 years. At the same time, we're going to be growing a strong and diversified economy, but we have a lot of work to do, but we're going to do it. And we're going to do it by listening to the people of this province. We're going to walk forward with you every step of the way. This budget is a budget that puts people first and makes life better for families across this beautiful province. And to wrap up, I'd want to talk about one consistent message that I've heard many, many times over the last few months. And it's that the government, the previous government, just wasn't listening. And I'll give you some examples. I talked to a gentleman who ran a grocery store, a local grocery store, for decades. And more today, he's seeing people come in to the store with just a small amount of money, and they're walking up and down the aisles and being very careful of what they're buying with that money because they know they only have that money to feed their family. The government, previous government, was not listening to them. I talked to a teacher who had a online learning tool that was on a trial basis that her students started using, and some of them really took to it and enjoyed it. And when the trial ran out, she couldn't afford the $200 to actually buy the subscription to that for a year. The government wasn't listening to her. I've talked to nurses, several nurses, that have been challenged with the lack of resources in hospitals. Some have been, there's been increasing incidents of violence, and the government was not listening to them. There are many issues that we have to tackle: affordable housing, poverty reduction, child care availability, quality education, health care, tackling the opioid crisis and addictions, home and community care for seniors, addressing climate change. These are all issues that we are tackling in this budget. We're not going to solve every problem overnight, but we're taking these issues seriously. We're listening, and we're going to build a better BC. Thank you.